What is good, everybody out there? Thanks again for checking in with me today at Court Thoughts, the channel where we basically talk basketball. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be running through my favorite top 10 jerseys of all time that's been in the league. I really like jerseys. I don't have a tremendous amount of them anymore. I've got this bad boy right here that we're wearing. So this retro throwback rookie Jordan jersey. I really like the whole cursive part of it. It's like, I don't know, like a lot of the other jerseys that I saw Mike wearing growing up, obviously besides the Wizards, I found them to be pretty much the same with the exception of the 98 black pinstripe joint, but everything else pretty much looked the same for me with the exception of this. So this for me, I really like it. It's one of the reasons why I've obviously bought it. But we're going to be going through my top 10. Now, firstly, I want to give a big shout out to NBA Jersey Database. I'm going to leave the link in the description because of the fact that I was going through, I wanted to do something like this and I was trying to think about how I was going to do it, and I was trying to find some really good high quality images to show you, and I was originally going to do like images and stuff like that, but man, this place has actually got everything. It is by far the most detailed site that I've seen that has all the jersey designs. I'm going to make sure that they pop up on the screen for you when we run through them, and we'll also go through a couple of my special mentions and a couple of other things as we go through. But anyways, let's kick it off. Here we go. All right, so the number 10, we're going to start from 10 and come back. Number 10 for me is the Bucks 05 jersey. I really like the way that the color pops on it. So it's got this like really nice purple tone that comes through it, and it's one of the main features when you're looking at the away kit. When you're looking at the home kit, it's a whole white piece essentially with the purple on the outsides. But the purple and the green just really goes together. I'm not a real big fan of a lot of the kits that have come out from the Bucks. Like the jerseys that the Bucks have worn in history for me haven't really been all that nice. But man, this one for me, it's a really simplistic. Jersey. It's not super overly detailed as some of the other ones that you will see when we go later on down the list. But I really like small detail. You know, I think that you don't have to be overly like detailed in the design of the jersey for it to be, you know, a real dope uniform. I think it can actually be just really simple and letting the colors pop. You know? And this for me is one of the reasons why I had to include this. I just think it looks so good. It was obviously 05. It was during the baggy era. Everything was hella oversized, but man, I can't say that I own this jersey at any point, but it's just a really dope looking jersey, and it's one of the reasons why I had to include it. So, Bucks 05 is my number 10. Alright, so for me, the next one that I've included is the 1997 to 02 Charlotte Hornets fit. It was really hard when I was looking at which one I wanted to include, and I knew that I was going to include the Charlotte Hornets. Because of the fact that, like, when I was a kid, it felt like everyone had something that was Charlotte Hornets. Someone had a Charlotte Hornets hat. Someone had a Charlotte Hornets jersey or a shirt or something along those lines. And I wanted to include the Charlotte Hornets. A little bit of a history about them. So in 1985, there was a decision by the commissioner at the time, David Stern, to do an expansion for the 88-89 season. They originally were going to do 3 teams, and then they expanded that to 4, and the Charlotte Hornets were one of them. When the expansion went out and Charlotte was going to be one of those teams, and the design of the team's uniform came out, it had this pinstripe detailing to it, and we've seen other teams use pinstriping before. You know, some notable ones that come to mind. You've obviously got Orlando, you've obviously got Indiana, and then you've got the Chicago Bulls, the 98 jersey I mentioned before. But I chose the 97 to 02 model because of the fact that it was relatively similar, but it was slightly different, and it had a little bit more different detailing to it. So I found it to be a little less boring. I personally like this. If you like the original one from the 88 release, jump in the comments, let me know which one you prefer. But I really like this one. I think I also like the way that the uniform works, right? It's not just about the top, it's the top and the bottoms. And sometimes when you get the top, like your top, if it's got the pinstripes and it goes into the pinstripes at the bottom, it's too busy. I like this one because it doesn't. It's got shorts that are really simplistic. It's just got the Buzz Hornet logo on the bottom corner, and they're really, really simple. But I like that sort of deep teal color that the uniform uses, as well as the white color. I think they really, really pop. But for me, number 9, Hornets pinstripe from 97 to 02. That's got to be it for me. All right, so the next one on my list, number 8. Got to send it out to Brooklyn. When this jersey came out, when this uniform came out, I was like, all right, it's good to see the worlds collide. It's the 2018-2019 Brooklyn Nets. I call it the Biggie jersey. It's the one that's all black and it's got the Kuju sweater detailing around the edges. Biggie is obviously it goes hand in hand when you think of Brooklyn, along with people like Jay-Z. Right? But basketball and hip-hop culture, I think for the masses, they overlap in such a way, whether it's like basketball references and songs, Biggie had a number of them, but it's also the stylings. Like when you think about people like AI, the way that he dressed was like, he was dressing the way that he dressed, and it's definitely influenced by hip-hop culture, and hip-hop culture has an influence on basketball, and basketball has this influence on hip-hop culture and hip-hop music. And so I really, really like the splashes of color that comes through in the detailing of it. I think that these types of nods to people that have been influential from that particular area are really, really cool. Another one that sort of comes to mind around that is the Prince Purple Rain Timberwolves fit. It's not really one of my favorites, but I really like the fact that the NBA now, them having these alternate jerseys that they introduce and being a little bit more flexible with changing the uniforms throughout the period is really, really cool. So this is going to be it for me. All right, so my next choice on the list is the 1995 to 03 Houston Rockets fit. I think what really did it for me that made this one into the list was just the time that this was associated to. So for those of you that remember, there was a period of time towards the tail end of Charles Barkley and Scottie Pippen's career where they moved and they were actually playing for the Houston Rockets. And it kind of blew my mind that these people that played for other teams were now on this big sort of super team, because super teams weren't really a thing. And if you think about, the comparison to obviously the Chicago Bulls, I always thought it was a little bit different purely because of the fact that Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen were both rookies that were with the team and developed into the team. And the other peripheral players that were well-known players that joined, really the only one that sort of comes to mind that I think that was a big ticket player, that there was a big deal when he joined, was Dennis Rodman. And Dennis Rodman was a bit more of an outcast in the league at the time. Everyone obviously knew him and respected him for his defensive abilities and rebounding abilities, but he was not seen as a player that was one that actually people wanted for the most part, which is really shit in my opinion, because he was such a talent. But coming back to the Houston Rockets, this whole design was a complete overhaul. So it wasn't just a change in colors, the colors were way more different, going from a predominantly red and yellow design with offshoots of white to coming into white and navy and little splashes of red and these silver detailings. Again, we see the pinstripe come back, which was really, really cool, but it was this jagged pinstripe, so it's not uniquely straight. It had this sort of offsetting to it, so it was really, really cool. So that has to be it for me. I had to include this bad boy right here. All right, so before I jump into the next pick that I've got, which would be number 6, before we do that, we're actually going to jump into my special mentions. Now, when I was actually going through the list, it's really, really cool. Honestly, guys, please make sure you jump over to NBAjerseydatabase.tumblr.com. I'm going to have the link in the description. It's literally got all of them, but they also had All-Star jerseys. And I didn't want to include All-Star jerseys because of the fact that I didn't feel that it fit with the whole thing that with what I was trying to do, which is to run through team jerseys. So the 2 that I've picked out 2. And the reason why I picked out these 2 is because of the fact that the design for me was really, really cool. But I also have to say, I really, really liked it back in the day, in the 2000s, when you would see teams would wear, I'm pretty sure it's the 2000s. They may have also done it in the late 90s as well, because I'm pretty sure, yeah, they did it in the 90s as well, where the players were wearing their home jerseys or their away jersey, depending on what team that they were playing in. And I thought that was so dope. Obviously, it's really hard to do now because, well, not really. That's rubbish. It's not hard to do. It is possible to do. But I really like the fact that you kind of had to pay homage to each of these teams, that they were from these different teams, and it kind of showed where they were from and differences. I really, really like that. I hope that they bring that back. Please, please, please. Please bring that back. All right. Now, the 2 jerseys that I picked, I actually went with the first one that I chose is the 1992 All-Star jersey. Now, the thing that I really liked about it, it was like really typically like a 90s design, because of the fact that it had this like metallic sort of feature on the NBA and the star behind it. I really liked it. It was also, I guess, I think that period of time where like basketball was really going through a boom at that period of time. I've spoken about it in my previous videos that, like, at least here in Australia, basketball was like exploding. It was just destroying. It was becoming this really big thing, but it was also becoming much more of a global phenomenon. And it was because of the fact of things like NBA Jam. It was obviously things like the Jam Session videos, which I've mentioned before, and any of the other NBA action and compilation videos that they were releasing out of VHS and on TV that people had access to. And so for me, this was just a really cool time in basketball where a lot of the aspect of like NBA All-Star was becoming much more prominent to me. Obviously, I was quite young, but it had much more of like an imprint. It had much more of an imprint on me on this jersey. And so that was this uniform. And so that's the reason why I picked it. I really, really like it. They've actually retroed it, and so I think through Mitchell & S, you can buy these. I can't remember when they did it, but that would be the first one that I had to put. I had to mention this, even though it's not on the list. I had to take note of it. So that's my first one. The second one that I chose is the 96 All-Star. The 96 All-Star was the one that had that like chili feature on it. And again, it's just the color and the design. Like in the 90s, they had this thing where you kind of had like these jaggedy edges, and they were like doing these things with color. That was really cool. I really liked it. You'll see that when we go through the remainder of my list, like a big thing is color. Like I think, like most of us, when we have jerseys that we buy or uniforms that we like, especially of our teams that we support, color's a big deal. And it's also got those like teal features. The teal, the orange, and the silver go together. And you've obviously got those black little detailings on the away. Well, it's not the away, it's the east, but it was really, really cool. And it's just, I think straight away when I think of that, I think of Michael Jordan, who was the MVP. So again, being a big Michael Jordan kid and Kobe Bryant kid growing up, like these were like this was his peak, you know. I wouldn't say his peak, but he was like one of his peaks, you know. To see, and that uniform is just so nice. Again, another one that they've retroed as well. I might have to try and see if I can get my hands on one. So that has these two bad boys right here are my special mentions. Another really cool thing that they have on the site that I didn't mention is actually sorry, I'm back. Australia, spiders are a thing. All right. So the other really cool thing that I liked about the site is the fact that it's got this really cool Kobe Bryant like history one, where it actually runs through all of the jerseys that he wore through his history, and it includes the Team USA and his All-Star jerseys as well. And then the quality is so nice on these images. I think I have to say, like, sometimes when you see these sites, there's this like real, like, you can tell that there's been some effort put into it, because these images are high quality digitizations of the jerseys and the detail is like on point. So man, honestly, like, big props to the people who were involved in creating this site and this collection. Man, it's fire. Like, big props to you. Big props to you. All right, anyways, let's move on.